Well, hello, gunfighters. Welcome to another episode of Gunfighter Life. What are we going to talk about today? The best 308 rifles on the market for survival. Does that interest you? Well, stick around. Welcome to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, the right way, with Almighty God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I am blessed to be your host. Bio is in the show notes. The 308 and survival, like peanut butter and jelly. I have already discussed, because this is kind of part 3 in a series, although I'm not so vain as to think you listen to every single episode. I've already discussed the philosophy of why the 308 for survival, or maybe why not the 308 for survival. But if you're listening to this, you're probably interested in the best 308s for survival. Not that it's the only caliber, not that it's the best caliber for you for the end of the world as we know it. But just a quick thing, I think there's 2 parts to survival, and that is hunting, putting food on the table, and protecting yourself and the ones that you love. Providing and protecting. I think that's your role as a man. You should not shy away from that. And the 308 might be able to help you do that. So what are some of the best rifles on the market for that? I'm not going to bury the lead. Numero uno. That's number 1 for you guys that don't habla de español. Number 1, the S.R.T. The S.R.T is a phenomenal rifle. It's military proven. It's reliable. Mine, sample size of 1, and one of the guys I work with also has one, and he says this is crazy accurate. But as far as firsthand, the one that I have is crazy accurate. It's so accurate, if it was a precision bolt action rifle, I would be happy with its accuracy. It's crazy accurate. It's dependable. It's reliable. And it's not very heavy. 7.7 pounds. It's legit. It's a freaking phenomenal rifle. It is, I think, the best one for this if fighting is in the equation, if fighting may be in the equation. It's semi-automatic. It's military proven. It's rugged. It's reliable. It's a decent weight. It's 308, the S.R.T. Now, downsides, they're crazy expensive. I saved up for a long time. I wanted one, and then I got a job. I was the commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters, and I thought, instead of just wanting one, this is a rifle that could potentially help save lives. I should spend the money and get a good rifle. And I did, and I got the S.R.T, and I don't regret it. Worth every penny. But if you don't have the pennies, you might be better off with something else than dreaming about the gun that you can't have. Or maybe you're better off. There's a lot of other things in survival, right? Do you have antibiotics? Do you have food stored? Do you have, all kinds of other stuff? So a rifle is not the end-all, be-all. It's not like if you have a rifle, you're just going to survive because you have a rifle. It doesn't work like that. You can have the coolest rifle in the world and die of dysentery or starve to death. So it's the best. I think it is the best 308 rifle for survival if you are talking about a battlefield weapon. Now, I don't know what the future holds, right? I'm not like one of these preppers that thinks I know exactly what the catastrophe is going to be. I don't know. Nuclear war, an actual pandemic that kills off a large portion of the population. The failure of the power grid. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know. Russian, zombie, North Korean paratroopers with trained chipmunks. I don't know. But there are many situations where that would not be the best choice. But if I'm just picking randomly with no caveats, the best survival through it, I'm going to pick the S.R.T. Now, my second one is going to be if the battlefield is a little bit less likely in your scenario. It's a rifle that I was out practicing with this morning, a rifle that I hunt with quite a bit. It's one of the rifles that's a truck gun for me that rides behind the seat of the truck, and that is the Ruger Scout Rifle. Now, I don't want to jump into a bunch on the Scout Rifle concept. It will, anytime anybody talks about Scout Rifle, even people that know a lot more than me about it, or proclaim to be, Scout Rifle experts, there will be an uproar about what a Scout Rifle is, what is it isn't. But what it isn't, it's not a sniper rifle. which a lot of people, I think, want to pretend that it is. It's not a battlefield rifle. It's not meant to be a mainline infantry weapon. A lot of people want to pretend that it is, but it's a light, handy, fast-handling, reliable rifle with backup iron sights. Generally thought of as a scout rifle, generally thought of as in 308. The Ruger Scout Rifle is, I think, the best choice, and maybe the second best choice for a survival rifle, and better in certain circumstances for really, really austere, nasty environments. The SCAR-17 is a phenomenally reliable rifle. I don't think it's going to be as reliable for as long and as harsh conditions as the Ruger Scout Rifle. The Ruger Scout Rifle is a controlled round feed based on the old Mauser 98 action, which is legendary, based on the pre-64 Winchester, which is legendary. It, if you consider the extractor like the claw on a bolt, which it basically is, it grabs stuff. The N.R.A, extractor is kind of like a house cat's claw. A controlled round feed like a pre-64 Winchester or the Ruger Scout Rifle is like a Velociraptor claw. It's in its own separate thing, right? It will grab and pull that cartridge out of there when a lot of other extractors won't. I like that it's a controlled round feed. I also like that it can be had in stainless steel. I shouldn't have to justify to you why stainless steel is a big deal for this application. It's also a manageable weight. It is got a lot of going for it. Also, unlike many bolt actions on the market today, sadly, it actually still has backup iron sights. You could use it with just iron sights, or you could put an optic on it and use them as backup iron sights. But I think any 308, not any 308 that you own or that you hunt with, but any 308 you want for a hard use tool for austere environments, it needs to have backup iron sights. And if it doesn't, to me, it doesn't qualify. It doesn't count. It just doesn't. The Ruger Scout Rifle has that. So I think those two are your best choices for 308s for survival. There are other ones that may be as good, but something like the Robinson Arms. I don't have any experience with the Robinson Arms 308. I've heard they're very good. But even the SCAR-17 is not common. But it's a lot more common and able to get parts and aftermarket stuff for than the Robinson. But that one may be good. I don't know about that one firsthand. But let's talk about some other choices, some other picks. If you don't have the money for a SCAR, you might look at the Ruger SFAR. I bought one of these. I did a review for it for Patreon, I think last year or the year before. I bought one. I sold it because I have a SCAR. So it was the main reason I sold it. But the Ruger SFAR is several times cheaper than the SCAR. It's a direct impingement. You may or may not care about that. It has a different operating system. The SCAR-17 is a piston system, like an AK-47. I don't want to get too far into that, but I think a piston system, a reliable, rugged one, is better than a direct impingement. But, our military has been using DI, direct impingement. I know technically the AR is not a direct impingement, but that's what we call it. They've been using that system for decades and decades and decades, and it works in some pretty nasty environments. The Ruger SFAR is even lighter than the SCAR-17. It's light, handy in a 308. It has a lot of parts commonality with AR-15s. Not every part, but a lot of the parts are compatible with an AR. It's a good rifle. That would be like my second pick if you didn't have the money or didn't want the SCAR-17. It is a phenomenal choice for that. Another choice would be for that bolt action would be the Steyr Scout Rifle. The Steyr Scout Rifle is awesome. It's got some really cool features. It's a bit lighter. You can carry an extra magazine in the stock. It has backup iron sights. My issue with it is it's not controlled round feed. So I don't know that I would like it as much. It is a push feed. It may be more accurate. The Ruger Scout rifles are not known for being crazy accurate. I think they're accurate enough for this, but the Steyr Scout, but it's more expensive than the Ruger. But that would also be a really good choice. Another one I'm going to mention, it would be in the more battle rifle type arena. It's a heavy girl, but that would be the Galil The Galil is a modern Israeli take on the AK-47. I would still consider it an AK. They make them in a 308. They're heavy, but you talk about rugged and reliable. It's maybe as rugged and reliable as the SCAR. It's going to be quite a bit less expensive than the SCAR. Still not cheap, but a good system, a good fighting rifle, and it would certainly fit that niche. So that's going to be on there. If we go back to the manual transmission guns, the guns you have to work yourself like a bolt action, the SIG Cross, it looks very unconventional as far as a bolt action 308. It's a very good gun. I also own one of these, and it's a phenomenal, phenomenal gun. I got to be honest, I think they're kind of ugly, but boy, does that thing perform. It's accurate, it's reliable. It is a push feed, but it does have an extractor, more like an AR, so it's a more dependable, I would say, extractor than many others. It's a very smooth operation. It's detachable box magazine. It's very light. I have the Trax version, which is what I would recommend specifically for this. The SIG Cross Trax and 308. It's light. It's reliable. You can mount a scope on it. You can also mount backup iron sights. It doesn't come with backup iron sights, but just like most modern ARs, you can mount backup iron sights. It's very good. It's very modular. It's stainless steel or aluminum. So it's a very good choice for this, I think. And it would be a very, very good choice for a Survival 308. They are also well known for their accuracy. What else do we have on the list here? Again, I think that the lack of iron sights knocks most of the modern rifles out of this. Either that or they're just way too heavy and obese. We're not talking about bench rest. We're not talking about PRS. Those are about as practical as a football bat. I'm talking about a practical rifle with iron sights. It's a manageable weight. One of the ones that comes to mind is the Savage Hog Hunter. These are good, fairly decent, and Savage is also very much known for accuracy. I don't know why they didn't make this in stainless steel, but they didn't. It is a push feed. It's not stainless steel, but it is a Savage. I forget if it's based on the 10 or the 110 or the 111, one of those family, which has been around a long time. They're known for accuracy. They make it in a manageable, 308 with iron sights. You can also, it has a really good mounting system and common parts for mounting good optics. Different triggers and stuff if you would want them. It's a good option, very affordable, as many Savage products are. The Savage Hog Hunter. Another one, kind of a wild card, doesn't really fit in many places, but I'm going to throw it in here. If you kind of wanted to be the gray man concept and you wanted to look like you had an old school hunting rifle, but you wanted fast handling 308, you might look at the Remington 7600, the 760, maybe even this. I forget when they came out with the model that it was in 308. Most of these are going to be in 30-06, which is also not a bad caliber. We're talking about 308s. They made the 760 in a 308. I think they also made the 760, I believe it's P, which is the police model. You may look for that one also, but the Remington 760, it's kind of looks like a hunting shotgun, except it's a rifle, pump action, very fast. You might think they're not accurate. They actually have a good reputation for being plenty accurate. So you could get a 308 detachable box magazine. It's not going to be as fast as a semi-auto, but it's going to be faster than a bolt. And it's probably legal in all 50 states. So that Remington 760, that's a really, really good option. Don't overlook that. They're not highly coveted. So although they're really good quality, old school, American Remington quality, they don't command the premium that, say, like a Pre-64 Winchester would. So they're a really good option. Don't forget about those. The next ones, now I'm not for, rolling the dice with your life just because something's cool and esoteric and old military. I love military stuff. I love military history. But coolness in military history is not what's going to keep me alive. Practical rifles are. But there are two that come to mind that are historical. If you're into, military history, the old school stuff, if that's just your thing. there are a few options that would not be the worst things in the world to have for a 308 survival rifle. You might know the Enfields. The Enfields are legendary for, working around the world, being a very fast bolt action, for being a rugged military rifle. Most of those are in 303 Brit. Some of those are the 1917 and 30-06. But for today's discussion, there was one made for India. I don't remember if it was made in India or made for India, but it was the Ishapur. The Ishapur is an Enfield in 308. If you like the Enfield, you like the history, you like the looks, then they have the Ishapur, which is an Enfield in 308. They're not highly coveted. I don't think they are commanding a premium as far as many of the other rifles of their, like a classic all-matching serial number World War I or World War II Enfield would. So you might look for the Ishapur Enfield in 308. The other one that I recently became aware of, it came up in the Patreon chat. I was like, I never even heard of that. And then I saw one in a gun store the other day. And it was, under $1,000. And it was a Mauser. A military Mauser in 308. It was actually pretty handy and lightweight compared to a lot of military rifles of its era. Of like that full-powered Mauser-type rifle. It's the Spanish S.R.T. Since I don't think they were using any big conflicts, I don't know that they're really coveted among like true military historians, unless they just are into collecting Mausers. I don't know that they're crazy expensive. The one that I saw, again, under $1,000, it was in real good shape. But light, handy, the Mauser 98 action is known for being crazy reliable. There's probably some of those floating around that have been around over 100 years with no parts changes that are still running fine. I don't have any reason to believe that these aren't very high quality Mausers as well. But the FR8, the only issue is you may have a hard time finding them. I may have only ever seen one in my entire life. It just so happened to be the other day, and one of the other patrons in the chat said that they wanted one. They were talking about it, and I'd said I never even heard of it. And then not long after that, I saw one. But I think they're very, very rare. But again, if you're into the old military stuff, you want an old military rifle, and you want one in 308, either the Ishapur or the FR8 would be a good choice. Obviously, they're going to have good iron sights, and they're going to be rugged and made for austere conditions. Anyway, with that, guys, obviously there are probably plenty that I forgot, and if I didn't mention your favorite meets the criteria of being light and handy and having iron sights, well, let me know. Let me know what it is. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all that you do. Tactical verse of the day, just a classic. I know we've done it before, but let he who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one. Jesus said that. Let he who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.